Most UK cars die early. These 7 habits took mine to 700k miles. Most drivers never realize the truth behind why their cars fail long before their time. You have not been unlucky. You have been trained by careless habits passed from one driver to another. If you want your UK car to reach 500k or even 700k miles, these habits matter, and habit 7 is the silent killer for many drivers today. Habit number 7, change your transmission fluid every 60,000 miles. Everyone in the UK has been sold the same fairy tale. Sealed for life. Lifetime transmission fluid. No maintenance needed. Sounds comforting, right? Except in the real world, lifetime means until the warranty expires. That's why so many UK cars, Vauxhalls, Fords, Volkswagens, Audis develop random slipping, hard shifts, clunks, or full gearbox failure between 90,000 and 120,000 miles. Here's what no brochure tells you. Inside your gearbox is a storm of clutch dust, metal particles, and sheared additives swirling around like liquid sandpaper. Every press of the accelerator shaves tiny fragments off your clutches, and because the unit is sealed, nobody checks it until something breaks. I've cracked open gearboxes where the fluid looked healthy, red, clean, no burnt smell, yet hiding inside was over 60,000 miles of microscopic grit grinding the plates into powder. Automatic transmissions, they quietly roast themselves on old fluid. Manuals, their synchros turn to mush. Dual clutch units, they grenade the moment the internal varnish thickens. And in the UK, where stop-start traffic is daily life, heat destroys fluid twice as fast. You want numbers? Fine. A proper drain and fill costs $120 to $200. A gearbox rebuild, $3,000 to $7,000. Your choice. And before you think my car shifts fine, remember, transmissions don't cry for help, they die quietly. Change the fluid at 60,000 miles, and you'll almost never see a catastrophic failure. Ignore it, and you're just waiting for the day your gearbox decides it's done with life. But even a healthy transmission won't save your engine from the tiny part almost nobody bothers to touch. And that takes us straight to habit number 6. Habit number 6, replace your PCV valve every 30,000 miles. This is the 8 part that saves $5,000 engines. The PCV valve looks like a toy, a tiny plastic cylinder smaller than your thumb, but if it clogs, sticks, or jams, which they do constantly, it becomes a grenade in slow motion. Here's what a failing PCV does, all without warning. It builds pressure inside your crankcase. That pressure forces oil past seals. Those seals leak into places that should never see oil. Then sludge forms. Then oil consumption spikes. Then your catalytic converter chokes itself to death. Then your engine starts knocking, and then boom, one day it spins a bearing. I've lost count of how many UK engines came into the shop burning oil like a chimney simply because the PCV valve was stuck shut. One Honda owner thought he needed a full top end rebuild. One $8 part later, the smoking stopped overnight. And here's the catch: no warning light, no diagnostic code, no symptom until it's too late. That's why every high mileage car that survives past 300k has one thing in common. The owner replaced the PCV valve long before it failed. Do it every 30,000 miles. Don't wait. And if your engine already sounds damp, sluggish, or oily around idle, make it your next job. Because habit 5 fixes airflow, but habit 6 protects the internal pressure that gives your engine life. Speaking of airflow, that brings us to the habit that makes your car feel like it lost 40 horsepower overnight without you even noticing. Habit number 5, clean your MAF sensor every 20,000 miles. Most UK drivers do not realize their engine is suffocating. They chalk up sluggish acceleration to age, bad fuel, or the car getting tired. No, your car isn't tired. It's blind, because your mass airflow sensor, the little sensor that tells your engine how much air enters the system, gets coated with invisible dust, oil vapor, and road grime. I've seen brand new BMWs, VWs, and Toyotas lose 10 to 15% of their power simply because the MAF couldn't read airflow properly. The engine panics, miscalculates fuel, and runs too lean or too rich. Suddenly your MPG drops, you get rough idle, you get random misfires, you think your injectors are dying, you think your spark plugs are failing, you think your engine isn't as strong as it used to be. No, it's the sensor. And here's the wild part. Cleaning it takes 20 seconds. 2 screws, 1 spray. Done. But this one habit alone can add years of life because dirty MF sensors cause bad fuel trim, and bad fuel trim destroys pistons, valves, and catalytic converters. This is why cars that reach 300k miles almost always had their MF sensors cleaned regularly. You're not just restoring power, you're restoring fuel accuracy, combustion efficiency, and engine health. But airflow is nothing compared to the silent killer almost every UK driver ignores until the damage becomes brutally expensive. And that brings us to habit number 4. Habit number 4, do the engine mount death test. Engine mounts are like tendons in your body. When they fail, everything else gets torn apart. But unlike tendons, they don't fail loudly. They fail quietly. They fail slowly. They fail invisibly. And unless you know the test, you'll never notice until your steering wheel shakes like a cheap massage chair at idle. Most UK drivers think engine vibrations are just age. No, that shake is metal hitting metal. And once the rubber inside the mount tears, every movement of the engine slams into your frame like a hammer, over 2,000 times per minute. What does that do? It cracks exhaust manifolds, it bends brackets, it destroys drive shafts, it torques transmissions, it even snaps axles. I've seen a perfectly healthy Ford with no other major issues rack up $2,500 in repairs simply because one mount failed and no one caught it early. Here's how you save your car. Foot on the brake, shift into drive, rev to 2,000 RPM. If the engine jumps more than 1 inch, that's it. That mount is gone. Replace it before it becomes a chain reaction disaster. And here's the secret. Engine mounts don't give warning lights. They don't trigger codes. They don't leave puddles. They don't scream for help. This is why high mileage cars survive. Their owners test mounts early, not after the damage spreads. But your engine, your transmission, your sensors, none of them matter if you ignore the one moment that kills more UK engines than any failure on this list. And that habit begins the moment your temperature gauge climbs even 1 bar above normal. Habit number 3 is the one that silently kills engines across the UK faster than age, bad luck, or poor fuel ever could. And the worst part, drivers don't even know it's happening because they think they're saving the engine when they're actually destroying it. So subscribe, like, and comment why you like this video for a chance to win a new Apple MacBook. Habit number 3, stop taking short trips under 2 miles. I know, it sounds harmless. You're just driving to Tesco, you're just dropping someone off, you're just heading to work 3 minutes away, but every one of those tiny trips is adding microscopic damage your engine cannot undo. Short journeys are the UK's biggest engine killer because our roads are full of stop and go traffic, cold mornings, and low speed commutes. And here's the truth nobody tells you. Your engine hates being cold. It hates starting in freezing weather. It hates thick oil. When you start the car and shut it off before the oil warms, fuel begins to wash down your cylinder walls. That fuel strips the protective oil film. Then condensation forms inside the crankcase. That moisture mixes with cold oil and turns it into a milky sludge. And sludge doesn't lubricate anything. It suffocates engines. I've opened engines that lived their whole life on short trips. Pistons scratched, rings stuck, bearings scored. You can smell the moisture inside them. It's like the engine never lived long enough to breathe. And what happens next? Your oil gets diluted, your MPG drops, your engine slowly chokes itself, and one day you get a warning light, but by then the damage is already baked in. This is why old school mechanics always said, give the engine time to get hot. They were right. Oil needs temperature. Combustion needs temperature. Everything your engine does well only happens after the first 2 to 3 miles. And here's the rule you should follow starting today. If the trip is under 2 miles, either skip the car or combine errands. But if you must drive short distances, at least take the car for a proper 5-mile run every few days to burn moisture out of the oil. Do that and your engine will thank you with another 100,000 miles of life. And this habit transitions straight into habit number 2, because even if your engine is perfect, even if your transmission is perfect, even if you drive like a saint, your car will betray you the moment you neglect the silent killer hiding under your bonnet. Habit number 2, clean your battery terminals every 3 to 4 months. You wouldn't believe how many dead alternators, bad starters, and mysterious warning lights I fixed with a 5-pound brush and 10 minutes of cleaning. Corroded battery terminals cause absolute chaos. Your car can be brand new, doesn't matter. If those terminals are covered in white crust, your Your entire electrical system is suffocating. Here's what happens when corrosion builds up. Your starter has to work twice as hard to crank. Your alternator pushes more amps than it should to maintain charge. Your sensors get unstable voltage. Your ECU sees random spikes and dips that trigger false error codes. Sometimes the car won't start. Sometimes it starts but idles rough. Sometimes you get flashing warnings that disappear the moment the car warms up. And then people go to the dealer and drop $300, $500, even $900 on repairs that never needed to happen. I once had a customer who was literally ready to replace her starter because the car wouldn't crank. One look at the battery told the whole story. Half an inch of blue-green corrosion choking the cables like cancer. I cleaned it, sprayed protector. 5 minutes later, the car started like new. Your battery is the heart of your electrical system. If the terminals are dirty, the whole system becomes unstable. And here's another secret. Alternators burn out early because of voltage drop caused by dirty terminals. A 3-dart cleaning job prevents a $300 alternator failure. So here's the routine. Every few months, open the bonnet. Look for crust, fuzz, or corrosion. Clean it with baking soda and water or a dedicated spray. Dry it. Coat with dielectric grease or terminal protector. It takes 5 minutes, and it will extend the life of every electrical component in your vehicle. But all the battery cleaning in the world won't save your car from habit number 1, the final, most important habit of them all. This one habit has saved more transmissions, prevented more failures, and protected more high-mileage UK cars than anything else on this list. And the crazy part? Almost nobody does it. Habit number 1, use your parking brake every single time you park, even on flat ground. I know what you're thinking. Why use the parking brake? My car is in park. But here's the ugly truth about the park gear that nobody learns until it's too late. Inside your transmission is a tiny metal finger called the parking pawl. That little piece of metal is the only thing holding your 3,500-pound car in place when you shift into park without using the brake. That's right, your entire car, the weight, the incline, the stress, all of it is being held back by a part smaller than your thumb. And when you park on a hill without the brake, that pawl slams into place with the full weight of the car. I've seen parking paws shattered at just 60,000 miles because the driver never used the handbrake. And once it breaks, you're not repairing a part, you're tearing down the entire transmission. That's a $1,500 to $3,000 job just because someone was too lazy to pull a handle. Here's how it should work. Foot on brake, apply the parking brake, then shift to park. That way the brake holds the weight of the car, not the transmission. And when you get back in, foot on brake again, shift to drive, then release the handbrake. Do this every single time, flat or incline, manual or automatic, new car or old, it doesn't matter. Parking brakes aren't optional, they are load-bearing components designed to save your transmission. And here's a story I'll never forget. A customer with a nearly new Audi came in saying the car rolled an inch every time she parked. The pawl was eaten alive. Half the teeth were worn. She thought something was wrong with the car. Nothing was wrong with the car, something was wrong with how she parked. $2,800 later, she learned the hard way. This one habit alone can triple the life of your transmission. It prevents wear, protects the parking pawl, stops stress on your drivetrain, and keeps your car locked safely in place. It is the most overlooked, most effective, and most powerful longevity habit in the UK driving world. Because here's the truth, most drivers never accept. Cars don't die at 80,000 or 120,000 miles because they're old. They die because of habits. The little things we ignore, the routines we forget, the maintenance we skip. But when you put the right habits into place, habits that mechanics use on their own vehicles, your car stops aging and starts surviving.